to my understanding, I mean, one interesting thing is that SpaceX, that have XAI, that have the Colossus data centers, they are renting out their data centers to Anthropic now. And I think that's kind of interesting. For one, Anthropic is heavily limited by the compute that they have. That they are limited in terms of how much they can sell. They can't even sell enough because they don't have the compute. Right? And in my view, at least, I think the data center need is something that they all see and they need to invest in. What do you think? Can that be a reason for it, or?
Well, I'm also thinking that when there's scarcity, like a bottleneck, usually prices go up. I mean, we've all talked about the cost of tokens going down over time, and there's the fear that tokens cost will go up, and definitely that could. I mean, there is one scenario, at least, or a couple of scenarios where that becomes a reality. So, like, either they could also, like, if you don't have the data centers, that your prices or your margins can be squeezed. So that could definitely be a reason. And at the same time, we're seeing DeepSeek, they are guaranteeing very low price for their models. And you have to compete.
Yeah, and I guess they know that they're not as good, so they will need that advantage, the price advantage. Right? Yeah.
Now, I mean, it's such a big day tomorrow then when SpaceX, I guess, will do the IPO and for 1.75 trillion. And it's nothing even close to that before in history for evaluation in terms of a company. And then, as you said, then we'll also have Anthropic do an IPO soon. We don't know exactly when, but they filed for it, and so have OpenAI. And now, like 3 major AI companies are doing IPOs at the same time. It certainly points in some kind of great need for capital here,
and also a great need for Elon and his bonus.
For sure, and it's a good way there, I guess, in some way.
I think was it 3 trillion that he would get as a bonus when we have
Is it that much?
a 10 million population on Mars, something like that. That's one of the KPIs.
It's such a crazy scale for everything.
Yeah, we love aggressive KPIs. So
yeah, and I guess you have some at Pirr as well.
Exactly.
Fun to hear more about. Anyway, I guess you are excited about the IPO tomorrow as well, and we'll be following that, right?
Yeah, I think we should take a day off probably and watch.
It's like the same when they do the Starship launch. This is like the IPO launch, and we'll see what happens then. Are you going to invest in it, or are you into investing as well yourself?
I used to work as an investor, so I did that for many years, and now I'm investing in Pirr, in our company. So everything from time to capital. So that takes up so much of one's time, and also, but on the other hand, people say like don't put too many eggs in the same basket. So maybe I will buy some energy stocks or something else completely different.
Oh, okay.
Are you going to invest?
Yeah, for sure. But Tesla has been going up and down now for some time. But it's interesting what happens with we'll see what Terrafab will do with SpaceX and everything. But then it's going to be such a volatile period, I think, after the IPO, and then it's going to be up and down, and we'll see what happens. But the long term, but still the valuation is so high, so it's I don't know, interesting times.
Yeah, I hope
is it better to wait? Like, is it going to be too hypes tomorrow? Yeah, tomorrow, obviously, but
I think since they're only selling off like 5% as well of SpaceX,
okay,
it could be an opportunity for some investors to sell off, once it goes public. So it could actually cause a drop like in the price. Who knows?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, with that, so interesting, and very welcome here, Rebecca Oskarsson, co-founder of Pirr and CTO of Pirr, and we also have Beatrice, Bushati.
Bushati, yes,
Bushati?
Albanian.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
so
right.
like Mira from.
Right, Mira Murati.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, amazing. CEO of Pirr. And we would love to hear more about the story of Pirr and how amazingly done you have with building that company and using the latest AI for love stories, right?
Yes.
But before that, perhaps we can have a quick background about you two. If we start with you, Rebecca, who are really Rebecca?
Yes.
How did you come to start Pirr?
I guess I don't know where to start. Like, are we maybe from the beginning? Because I just shared the other week a picture of my grandmother and my mother. My grandmother, she is from a small village in northern Sweden, where it's not more than 100 people living, and that's where I grew up as well, Ammarnäs. And she actually brought internet to this small city, small village.
What year was that approximately?
I mean, she started the company with like data education, like going around giving courses about data. And this was, late 80s, early 90s. So I think she probably had internet, late 90s, I would guess. Yeah, it was really early. I'll need to ask her the exact year. And I think that it's always been there, the interest for tech and state-of-the-art tech. So it was an easy choice when going into studies and academia to go to engineering. So that's my background. And then I have worked with SaaS companies and partly, a lot of data, like data management, data analytics. But then when I met with our third co-founder, Anna and Beatrice, and got presented with this fantastic idea of, this was before ChatGPT hit, so it was just not well known what generative AI, yes, the experts knew and knew where it was going, but just seeing this rather new technology and where it could go, it was just amazing. And
what year was that approximately when you were thinking about?
This must have been 2022,
I think, right?
Yeah.
Right after ChatGPT launched.
Actually, before.
Yeah, because ChatGPT launched in November. December.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so I mean, it was an easy choice, even though going from something secure to startup, it's always been a dream of mine. Like my grandmother, running your own business, and so that was dream come true.
Well, let's hold off of the real origin of Pirr.
Yes.
But before that, then. You also worked at some companies? Or
Yes. So the main player would be Visma, the big SaaS company. You asked who I am. So I think that, and now I guess I am so much Pirr, so that's why I always tend to go there. What more do you want to know? Like
any personal interest besides the engineering
of course.
Anything else? That's
exactly when I'm not by my computer. So of course, as a romance fan, is always listening to a good book. And Romantasy is the favorite genre right now. So fantasy romance.
Has it always been a passion of yours?
Reading. I have had like a break from reading because I've just, I also have horses, which is also a passion. So that's something that's, competing with time a bit. But growing up, it was, I read so many, then it was books about horses and horse girls. And now that's, Twilight and Hunger Games and those popular series. And then now, the romance genre is just growing, so there's so many good series and books to read.
Great. I also had horses when I grew up. So
that's lovely.
It's actually a Pirr trait to be a horse person. So there's been a lot of horse people connected to Pirr.
Perhaps it's an opportunity for me as well.
There are research. There is research on like horse girls or people, I guess, working with horses. You are learning leadership from the get-go, and needing to be clear in communications and knowing what you want to do, and then give these instructions to a horse. There's so many things that you can bring with you from horse. So it's not a coincidence.
No, you learn some leadership skills.
Yes, you do.
Amazing. And Beatrice, please, who are you?
Yeah, I was also extremely passionate about technology very, very early on. I didn't have the grandmother, unfortunately, but I had an Eastern European mother that was bringing me cheap tech. And she was bringing me video games, fake Nintendo video games from Poland, a very crappy 386 computer in the 90s. And like my biggest goal was just to hack the very poor graphic, like the memory in the computer, to be able to play games like Quake and Doom.
Chris.
And this was like, I was relentless in this. So I was bringing different boys from class to help me change or to upgrade the computer. And unfortunately, it actually never worked. So it like feels like a huge failure to me, but it's great memories.
What if you had Claude?
I think I also understood, we'll come back to the story, like the later story of my life, but also that I understood like, okay, you need a little bit of money to buy good tech.
Yeah. Did you play? I played a lot of Quake, in my days. One of the only games I really played a lot. But did you also compete in it? Or?
I actually competed in chess. So also an Eastern European thing. So I was doing chess. I was doing gaming. I was playing the piano. I was doing everything that an Eastern European perfectionist child should do. Yeah. And the last thing is that I started coding. So we didn't have internet in my house at that point. So I was saving the code that I tried on my computer without an internet, took it to the school and tried it out, checked the bugs, and then took it back to my house. So I was always obsessed with technology, and again, being crazy about making it work. Right. And I think that's where we are today. But now we're making it work, finally. But I went, coming back to the money issues, that I decided that I want to do something really, really difficult, and I want to earn a little bit of money. So I went into finance. Right. And I became an investor. So I was doing that for more than 12 years. And my specialty was tech companies, of course. So everything from gaming to consumer tech companies, entertainment, of course, marketplaces. I was always obsessed about consumers and technology. And then Pirr came along. I was about to actually launch a couple of tech funds at my previous job, but Pirr took my heart. And just one day crossing the street to my old job, I decided that I cannot cross the same street once again. I need to do this change, and I didn't regret it at any point in my life since then.
Amazing. And we have to go into this. So how really did Pirr get started? Can you just try to explain?
It was it was our third co-founder. She's the original founder, the OG. She actually read an article, this was in 2020, that AI can actually start writing a couple of sentences. I think back then if it was GPT-2 or...
Yeah, I think it was, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And she thought, like, I want to do something with this. And she wanted to do something for women. And romance was happening because this was during COVID times. And also back in the days, also we were more focused on erotica. So we wanted to create erotica for women, to improve women's health and also fantasize. Right. And she put those two ideas together, and she came to me, and at the first meeting...
Do you know each other from before somehow?
Through a friend of mine. Okay. And at the first meeting, I said I could quit my job for this. Because at that point, this was 2020, the idea came along. You had the Netflixes, HBOs, etc. There was this huge peak in spending on media content creation. And I've never seen anything like that in terms of like interests were at zero and you could spend as much money as possible. So I thought, okay, but with AI, of course, you're going to be able to do it so much more cheaply, which today feels extremely obvious. Yeah. But in 2020, that was not the case. So she got a third person in who is to help us, who is called Magnus Sahlgren that is an AI celebrity. Perhaps he's been here at the podcast.
Not in the podcast, but we know him very well. So yes.
and he was helping us. So at the first meeting, he said, "Can I say we? Let's be a team." And he actually asked his team to help us with train and build the first models. So we were actually secretly training them on some places where spicy content should not always go, but it went. And usually actually spicy content moves the internet, right? And tech development. So it was extremely interesting.
Can you, if you just take one of the first models you started to train, can you give some tech details about it, or remember what it was?
It was a GPT-based model. As far as I remember.
Fine-tuning from an existing GPT model? Or
we tried both, but we did train from scratch as well. But I don't recall exactly the architecture on that one.
We did use Luther AI at some point, which was like completely, I think, random group or random
researchers.
Researchers.
Very early, they had like a GPT-J model.
So like it was not coherent, you could say that. But sometimes we just felt a bit of magic, and we felt like, okay, it can actually write a couple of sentences which just feel amazing, and then it went back to writing gibberish. So
it was like a fever dream. So
it started off, but then went into
kind of, and you had to just be open-minded, and then it was a lot of fun.
So you had some starting models to start from, GPT, or it could be a Luther, and you trained from scratch. But what about the data? How did you get the data for this to start with?
Well, it was, of course, we can go into, we were looking in a lot of open source stories that are published online. So, and because there is like the thing also with, which we'll get back to our type of content, is that there's a lot of hobby creators that are sharing their stories online. But back then also, like, there was a lot of manual labor to label the data, to remove parts in the data, cleaning it up and so on. So it was hyper manual back in the days.
And perhaps we need to just clarify, what is really the mission of Pirr?
The mission of Pirr is for everyone to be able to tell their story. And so we are a storytelling platform, so you co-create together with our AI. We are very creator focused, so we want to give everyone a voice. We focus today on romance, so that's stories which have like the majority. It's about the love story, but over time we want to do all types of stories.
So okay, elaborate a bit more. So they the first version of the Pirr platform or product, or what do you like to call it? App?
MVP.
MVP. Yeah. How did that work? The first MVPs.
The first one that we released to openly was you could create by adding what we call snippets. So you got a random intro. You could select from, I think it was 3 or 4 random intros that was generated, and then you got the next paragraph suggested, and you could swipe between selections and go with that. Okay. And one of our USP features back then was actually broadcasting this live, so you could have other people watching as you created your story. And it's just a fun idea, but people absolutely ate it up. Like, they loved it.
To see others, or to be able to swipe between them?
Being able to read while others were creating, and also sharing while you were creating. I think that there was something exciting about that, knowing that, I mean, that's why, we're sending live today. Like, there is something with this live audience, and feeling that from, people could hit like, and you can see how many was watching, and
But the selections then, were they pre-programmed, so to speak?
No, so they were generated on the spot. So back then it was really slow. So this was one of the biggest challenges we had back then, was the speed and the latency of the models. And it was fun because, like, we were working with cloud providers that, they suggested to use, their automated and, managed cloud infrastructure, and we were like, it doesn't work. Like your
It's too slow.
VRAM is it's too slow or it's too small. Like we have bigger models than that, and now they are so tiny compared to the big models today.
Yeah.
But back then it was, they were large in what the cloud providers knew. So that was a big challenge to find the right infrastructure to run these models. But it was I learned a lot, and like we learned a lot, the whole team, and we actually figured out that it was cheaper and faster to like pre-generate. So instead of like if you had like 3 or 4 options to choose from, behind that was already generated the 3 or 4 options. So we had like a tree of text paragraphs that were presented, but they were all generated step by step. So this was when the latency was a minute long. Like that doesn't happen today. Like you expect like a second at the most before something should start happening. Yeah.
It's like the beam search technology. If you hear about that, that's like how the first transformer worked. It actually generated like 3 different or versions in parallel, right?
Yeah, that sounds exactly like Pirr.
Yeah, nice.
But one of the first a very fun pitch moments, like we released our first version 2 weeks before ChatGPT, and we went to Slush.
Did it?
Yeah, this huge conference in Finland, and we wanted to showcase the app to the investors, and investors, I would say 99% did not understand what we were doing. Of course, consumers like users did not understand like AI, what is even that? That was not on anyone's lips. But we were showcasing the app that you could also actually, besides the live function, you could co-create with another user. So you and me, we could co-create a story together.
Right.
And we had an intern sitting in behind some wall, co-creating with each and every one of our investors.
Oh, really?
Yes.
And I remember this was before we launched, because we didn't have real users in the app at all at that time. And the whole team were creating to keep the live feed. We had like a live feed with a bunch of stories, and we were all creating like while you were like, we're going into an investor meeting now, please create. And we were like, okay, like let's generate stories.
Cool.
So it was 5 people on the platform
Yeah.
at that point.
Amazing. And so you got started in somehow. Did you start by your own and putting some money behind it and build the first product? Or how was the first couple of months and years when you started?
That's a good question, because since we were working with something extremely innovative, we actually got grants from the Swedish government. So Vinnova grants, we're hyper thankful for those.
Yeah.
And we got several tranches of that. So that took us through like the first 1.5, maybe even 2 years.
Cool.
Again, since this was super early. And during this time, it was very difficult to recruit as well. So because there was very few with the experience. So it took us some time to build a team and find people like Rebecca. But after that, we went into getting funding from investors.
I mean, I guess it's always tough in the beginning of a startup as well. It's hard to really withdraw salary or anything in the beginning, but you managed to get through that period in some way, right?
We managed, but of course, it's been quite many months without salaries.
It has, yeah.
But it's always worth it.
Yeah. I mean, great to see. Okay, so what happened then? And if you just take it from the first couple of months and when you actually started to see some traction, how did that go about?
Well, ChatGPT happened.
Oh yeah, of course.
And then we were spread in Pirr was spread in different communities, like everything from I think it was a Discord at that time, and 4chan, and different websites listing Pirr, different communities listing
AI
Pirr.
tools,
And it absolutely exploded. So we just at that point we were thinking how will we even go from 5 to 10 users to 20 users to hundreds, and then all of a sudden we were getting many thousands of users every month, and it was all organic. So there was huge interest, and we scaled that to almost 500,000 downloads.
Yeah.
globally, yeah. But at that point, it was still quite spicy.
Spicy, but what do you mean?
Spicy in the sense that it was, at that point, it was female-led erotica.
Right.
But what happened was that we actually got a lot of men on the platform. And there's nothing, we wanted to create a service that worked for everyone, of course. It doesn't matter what gender or sexuality you had. But men are also always very forward in technology, and where women were more afraid of AI. At that point, like there's still a lot of fear about AI, but at that point it was other types of fear because completely new. So we got a lot of men on the platform, and a lot of downloads, a lot of activity, but we understood that it became a bit too spicy, so a bit too much erotica. So we understood that it will be difficult to scale this further, like not scale from 500,000 to 1 million, but scale to 10 million, scale to 100 million, because then you want to be able to advertise. You want to be able to get real...
But you didn't do any advertising at that time?
No, and we still haven't.
Really?
We have done a small batches of tests, but still not the real single dollar into advertising. So everything has been organic. But we wanted to scale. We wanted to be able to distribute it properly, get like the big funding. And at some point, Pirr might also go public. So
right. Yeah, speaking about the big SpaceX and Pirr going $1 trillion as well.
Exactly.
So. Okay, and perhaps you can speak a bit about where are you today, you know, in terms of number of users and what the functionality has led you to, and how is Pirr different today compared to when you get started?
Yeah, so we made what startups call a pivot. So we pivoted from erotica to romance, and it sounds like it's a small difference, but it's actually a big difference when it comes to the actual content and what type of
and
users
the audience
that you want.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And on the tech side, I mean, Rebecca, you were doing changes in the AI.
Of course, yeah.
Do you want to add?
And yeah, I mean, we have some core features that are very similar to what we had back then. So we have stayed true to some parts. And I think that's maybe we're going to get into that. So you can, stop me if we should maybe pick it up later. But that would be that keeping the human in the loop. So we have never been about, writing one prompt and getting a story. Like that's not what we're about. We want to support the creativity in creating a story. And we want to be able to, that's also something that we're probably going to go into later, about being able to provide, like putting a copyright on a story, like on something that you create. Because it's not just the AI. It is you creating piece by piece in the story and controlling the narrative as you create it. And that's something that we kept. Yeah, and that's something that we kept from the get-go.
Yeah.
Which was actually first kind of a limitation of the early models where they couldn't output much more than a few sentences. But then we have kept that and working with that more and more.
Became a feature more or less as well.
Exactly. And people like that. Like that's what our users are always, very protective about.
Okay, so less of erotica and more into romance in some way. How did you make that switch? Was it more the data that changed a bit, or was it also some other changes?
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot about the underlying data and and the branding as well. Like, I mean, the models can still write both, and as Beatrice said, like it might sound like a small pivot because a lot of the components are the same, but the difference between, let's talk about like difference between erotica and like a spicy romance novel is how the story supports the spicy parts in a romance. Or like it's not just about that spicy scene or the explicit scene in a romance story. It's about everything before and everything after. Like what's how these characters grow, how they fall in love, how they maybe hate each other at first and then they realize that they're in love. Yeah. All those things are crucial to a romance story. Meanwhile, erotica does not need that supportive necessarily the supportive romance.
Yeah, it's
part.
a 80-20 type of rule. So erotica is 80% the spice and 20% build up. And in romance, for a spicy romance, it's the other way around. So it's 20%
Nicely put.
spice,
But okay, so I guess the data is one part, but I guess you can also change the system prompts.
Of course,
right?
and that we have like specialized it towards the romance, the romance genre, and what's the tropes as it's called, different like specific, because the romance reader is a special breed. They know what they want, and they want to know these tropes before they start reading a story. They want to know.
What is tropes?
A trope is, for example, it's enemies to lovers. Then you know that, the characters are going to be enemies first, and then they're going to fall in love. So, or you have friends to lovers. Or you have one bed trope. So there's just going to be one bed when maybe they go on a trip, and whoops, it's just one bed. How are we going to share? So that are kind of tropes. And you can get really into those tropes. Like, I really love enemies to lovers. So then you want to read that.
over and over again.
Yeah.
And you can also combine them. So it could be like enemies to lovers, there's one bed.
Yeah. And hockey romance, like super popular right now.
Exactly. So could be on a hockey trip.
Yeah.
Of course.
X, enemies to lovers, X. And then it could be also another trope, like grumpy X sunshine. So one person is grumpy, the other one is happy.
So it's like a library of tropes that you're using, and then you can see what people like. And
absolutely. Yeah, exactly. And since that's so common in the romance community, people know, they want to create their story based on certain tropes. So that's how we have taken in more of the romance community into the app to shape it towards what they like.
And when you have a user that really knows what they like, it's like perfect for us, perfect for the AI. I mean, they give us the prompt, we know how to build it up. And there's actually one thing that because 90% of romance is consumed by women. And there's one thing that every woman wants. Do you know what that would be? Or every romance reader wants?
I wish I
It's
could
a trick
answer
question.
No, sorry, you have to. Goran, can you help? I don't know. Okay. Okay, please tell me.
Yeah, the good excuse, it's the happily ever after.
Ever after, of course.
Or happy for now is also one. Yeah, but this happy ending.
Happy ending in double sense. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, exactly. So women, like, they know exactly what they want, and like with romance, you know that it can be a super tough story. Like they can break up, fall in love, move, never see each other.
People are getting killed.
Exactly, that as well. Super dramatic. But then you always can finish off with a happily ever after, or a HEA, as it's called in the romance world. So the acronym. But the good thing to add on the pivot is that we were extremely good at the spicy part, because that's what we have been doing for several years, and everything about the prompting and exactly what should happen when. So we could reuse that part. So like this erotica part or the spicy part, we could put in what was 80% before. We made it into 20%, and then we added the character build-ups and the narratives arcs and so on. And a couple of years ago, this was not possible. Like AI couldn't support the long narrative format. Like you could do 5 minutes, 10 minute stories, 15 minutes. But now you can really push the limits in the story arcs, and adding to memory and remembering what your character went through.
I mean, the context windows weren't large enough even,
right.
a couple of years ago.
But given these tropes, before it was swiping, which one you liked, is that still the main functionality, or can you actually give prompts or hints?
Yeah, you can, exactly. You can instruct the model what you want to happen next, and if you want something to, take a certain route. But you are able to just click your way and create a story as well. Like you do not need to. We give suggestions on how you could like continue and all that, but we have also included a lot of elements where you can write yourself or push the story more and control the story, because that's something that is important for our users as well. Some are very particular in what they how they want it to go, and then they need that.
Okay, so, but how do you build up? I mean, I guess a lot of the IP, so to speak, in Pirr is a lot about understanding what the right tropes are and how to do the prompting properly in the data that you have. I guess you're building most of the data yourself now more and more.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
So you can actually use the data you use in the app as training data today?
Yeah, we can.
And also on the data, I mean, from one story we get 14 times more input from a user than, so if you create a story in Pirr versus you go to ChatGPT and create a story, our users are so much more control, give us so much more user input. So we get a lot of more insights from our users than if you would prompt a chapter on a story at ChatGPT. And that we can do a lot of things with. Of course, we can personalize, we can remember, and we can create we can improve the service all the time. And also, you could think of Pirr as the Instagram moment, what Instagram did for photos in your telephone that were just sitting there, nothing was happening with them. And then all of a sudden Instagram appeared and it was super easy to share your photos with your friends. Like this is what Pirr is doing to storytelling. Right. The thing is just storytelling is much more complicated. But now we can actually do it for our users. Yeah. And when Instagram started, there was a predecessor. Was it Hipstamatic or I forgot now what it was called, but it was like ultra complicated. It was super complicated. It had too many functions. It was not very easy to use. Way too complicated app. They were making money, but they were not growing. And then Instagram came with a couple of filters and super easy sharing. And that is when this tagline was established, like come for the tool, stay for the network.
Right. Oh, the network is necessary. Okay, amazing. And for the tech interested people here, I mean, you started off with using kind of GPT models and even training from scratch, etc. What do you use today? Anything? If you don't want to share it, that's just let me know. But what can you share about the current tech stack, so to speak?
Well, we were using. The thing is, when we started GPT-2, we could fine tune with spicy content. We were using open source models as well, like because they were allowing for the spicy part. But that has been a restriction. And that is still a restriction with ChatGPT. They said that they would allow.
So the guardrails currently in ChatGPT, etc., is too strict.
Exactly. So we are using different models and we're combining them from different parts in the app.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
And you are still fine tuning and
not anymore.
Okay.
Not anymore. Now it's much more about prompting and extracting the things that we want from the models, and it could just be like a couple of words, or like one word can change the results or the output.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the expertise in how to properly prompt it and do the context engineering, so to speak, getting increasingly important, right? And also, if we just think about that, why we don't need perhaps to fine tune as much as we did before. I guess before they were so stupid, so you needed to fine tune it. But now they're getting so intelligent and general in some sense, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to. There's a reason why you have the big players dominating the market. I mean, there's a reason for that, and
that reason is
you need extreme resources. Yeah. And it's just, I think it would be naive of us to think that we could, if we're going to focus on providing the best Roman story creation experience and going beyond romance at a certain point, we cannot focus on building foundational models from scratch. No.
You cannot compete with that. Yeah. But what we can compete on is, again, extracting the right type of output from the AI models. And when we go on, like we do extremely big amounts of research and user interviews and so on. And when we go on Reddit, which is there are big communities in writing and also in romance contents, there's a lot of people that are complaining about the output from OpenAI or from Claude and etc. I would
generic,
say, very generic, and like it's not on par with what you want. So we have a huge edge there because we're hyper focused on a huge vertical.
Yeah.
And you didn't mention which your top favorite model is today, and if you don't want to say it, I completely understand. But I think, is there something you can mention about that? What is working for you and not?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to give the boring answer that it depends on what you want to write and, of course, what you want to do with the model. So that's what you see in. So you might think that, let's grab the latest model that has, the best benchmarks. Yeah. And if you look at the benchmarks, there are some that measure creative writing, but it's not always the best indicator either. It's usually like, LLM as a judge metrics when it comes to creative writing, which is then, it's difficult to get it right. So I can say like it's not always the biggest and the latest model that's the best. Of course there is a subjectivity to storytelling and what you prefer. Like you have a writing style, a stylistic that you might prefer above something else. I don't know if you want to say something more about that, Beatrice, or...
I'm thinking for myself, like the biggest unlock for me, I mean, of course we've used AI, we're AI native from day one, but the biggest unlock for me that looks at product and looks at strategy, I'm obsessed with what our users like and how can we create the best type of experience for them. And then we need to look at the data. And before, I would say like a couple of years ago, we did not understand how important very granular data was. And also it was expensive and slow to extract it, like in the sense that you need a data analyst and you need to and now I can slice and dice the data so much more. And personally, this is the biggest unlock for me.
That's a super interesting topic, and perhaps we can talk a bit more about that. And you also have to build up a team at Pirr, etc., and you have to hire people, engineers and analysts, etc. And also, I really love that you are a female-based company and are building up these in a technical area like this. So I really respect and love that. But perhaps you can speak about that. What do you think about, when you're hiring people now? What are you looking for? What type of traits and how do you go about recruiting at Pirr?
Yeah. So the most important, like if you talk technical skills, it's more and more important, and I guess maybe everyone is saying this, but you must be able to understand the requirements of a technical product, be able to express them and communicate them, because that's what you're doing to the AI model today, like the coding agents. So you have to have that fundamental understanding of both the technical aspects, both of the product that you're working with, like the domain knowledge of this product, of the user, of course, because you need to identify, like, is this the best for the user if I create it this way? But then also something that you always want to look at, like us at Pirr, we always, love if someone is a reader or if they have, some kind of connection to, it doesn't have to be romance. One of our AI developer, he loves sci-fi and reading a lot of sci-fi. So, I mean, that also creates a connection to literature and understanding of storytelling. So that's something that's always like a plus. It's not always a must.
Domain expertise.
Yeah, it's always valuable. And then always, someone who is willing to, kind of stay, like trying new things, because that's what the world we live in now, that something that you're using today is going to be 100 times better next week. And that's why you have to have people that are willing to do that, to not be stuck in their old ways, but trying new tools, new, more efficient ways of doing it, being interested in, why is this happening this way? Can I do it faster? Can I do it better? So that's more like personality traits that I'm looking for, like that drive to always improve, always become better. And I think that's necessary to have fun at a startup.
Right.
Yeah. And Beatrice, I think you probably have maybe some other things that you would look for.
Yeah, of course, it depends on who you're hiring or what role. But I love, following up what you said, Rebecca, I love a flexible brain. So when you can twist and turn things and be flexible in your thinking, and I think it's not an easy task. As a startup, you are thrown so many challenges at the same time, and you need to learn to be flexible and find solutions to them, because you're extinguishing so many fires, and you need to be creative, and be willing to change, willing to experiment. And of course, the classic is to just make mistakes.
Right.
This is something that I learned the hard way, because I'm a perfectionist. Again, Eastern European, you don't fail with anything. So learning that through the startup way, it's extremely empowering. That you know that 9 out of 10 things are going to fail.
I mean, it wasn't it Elon Musk that said basically that he basically had this 80-20 rule, meaning that he makes a decision even though you only have like 80% of the information, meaning like 20% of the decisions may be wrong, even to the point that if you're not making 20% of decisions that are wrong, you're moving too slow. Meaning there is a value in itself in making actually like 20% of bad decisions. Would you agree with that? Or?
Yeah, I think so. I think you just want to move forward. Absolutely. You want to move forward. You need to learn quickly as well, and be very perceptive.
Yeah. And something we work with a lot is, of course, like if you, there's also, I don't know where it comes from, but it's also saying that if you release your product when it's perfect or that you're happy with it, then you release too late.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, that's also kind of the same thinking here. So don't be afraid to fail.
How do you do it?
I like what you're speaking there about, not only the hard skill, of course, but the soft skills. And I think, the ability to communicate is actually one of the things that I look a lot for. And so many people are bad in communicating. It's scary when you think of it sometimes. And if you just ask someone to, explain something complicated or being able to express it in an efficient way, most people will fail. So I think that's almost like a way to see also, for one, do they understand complicated things and know something? But if they don't have the ability to express it, it doesn't really matter if they know it or not. I mean, you still have to be able to communicate about it, because that's, what's necessary to make a team work. So I really like that you saying that as well. And being able to communicate and express, these kind of things.
I think the best people that I've hired are the ones that early on in like the first weeks, they are asking so many questions. There's almost that I get tired, like oh my gosh, she or he is writing again. But I love that, because that shows that they expose what they don't know, and they are willing to find out.
Yeah, and you need to create a culture for that. It's not like, I think it's a difficult task to create a culture where, like, please go fail, like do it, because that's not the nature of people.
It was, like Daniel Ek, I worked in Spotify for a long while back, and he said something very interesting, I think, which is Spotify is going to be the company that fails the fastest. And when you first hear it, it sounds really stupid, but when you think about it, it's actually really profound. It is the ability to quickly make failures and accept it and fail fast. That is super important, especially for startups, I think.
That's interesting. A lot of writers and authors are saying the same thing about their first draft. Like, write your first draft very quickly. Don't go back and correct mistakes or anything. Just write it, and then you can go back and find those plot holes and fix it. But just getting it out.
Super interesting. And also, if we move into this kind of topic, and you have to build models that are going to do things that are on the edge, sometimes on what's ethically like sound, and then it could go over the edge, and perhaps you were a bit too erotic in the beginning and then a more romantic. How do you build that in? I mean, if we just compare it to the latest type of AI models of today, anthropic missiles and cybersecurity problems, and if you don't put the right guardrails in, then it's doing a lot of stupid things. So they have to like program the model to not do the wrong things and not being able to abuse it. What are your thinking here? How do you like measure if it's going too erotic or too off the guardrails, so to speak? Do you have some framework for that, or how do you work with this kind of balance of how to put the proper guardrails in place?
I mean, we were ultra strict with the guardrails in the beginning. I mean, and back then it was very clunky. Like you just have to forbid certain words. And back then it was like if you went into a cloud of certain words, then we knew like, okay, now you're crossing into a territory that we don't want. Right. And that's frankly the problem also with working with erotica, is that you get into like the ethical discussion about it, because it's always like fantasizing that's on the edge of things very often. And you want to create a product which allows for that, but still has guardrails, which is a very rare case. Like that's not how people operate in general. Like like it's, you want to create productivity or whatever, and then someone goes cuckoo and tries to build something that you don't want to. But for us, we were like we had to live like closer to the edge more often, and to understand like what is the importance to create like these fantasies that people want. But it's difficult to work with like moral like or ethical subjects, right? But Rebecca is like the big master in the moderator on what we allow and not. But the good thing I will finish is that like we do have good already moderator filters built into some of these models as well today.
Can you elaborate a bit more how it works? I mean, one of course would be simply that you put it in a system prompt and says, don't use these kind of topics or something. Another way could be that you have some kind of harnesses or guardrails looking at, whatever the users are prompting it to do, or what the output is, etc. Can you...
Yeah, so since we have people can write themselves as well, so it's not just about what they are prompting to the AI or the AI outputting, but it's also about what the user adds to the story in clean text, so that, or pure text. And that's why it's important for us to have like external. We cannot rely on the LLM, the generative AI model, to not generate those kind of topics. We do need that external. Which consists of machine learning models today, and
there's a separate model in some way?
Yeah, exactly. So it's a separate model. It's cheap and fast and somewhat accurate. I think that we can, there's one of our things in our product roadmap is to improve those moderating filters to be more precise and accurate.
But it can like. Even in romance, like for example, like coming back to tropes, a very popular one is called dark romance, and that is when you have stalkers, and like that's more like why is this guy stalking me? But I kind of fall in love with him. Nice. But in romance, like the nice ethical twist is that it actually ends well. So the guy goes from red flag bad guy to a good guy. Right. And then we're all good. But sometimes when I've been like another dark romance is mafia topics. So you have this mafia boss, usually like it's very popular in New York, for example, because New York is more of a dark city, and they love.
You can see the kind of differences around the world.
Indeed, yes. Really? So it's actually hyper local what different cities like, and New York dark romance is huge. So they love, I guess, Sopranos, they love the mafia, they love some dark topics. And I was creating myself a dark romance, mafia romance in Pirr. This was a little bit a while back, but I had some people dying actually because they were shooting, and it was also a little bit spicy. And then like the AI did not understand, like, is this, like, where's the romance, where's the violence, what is okay and not? And also like Romeo and Juliet, you have like people die actually, and sometimes that's difficult to handle.
Okay, but are there some what are the gauge rates, or what are the limits? I mean,
You have to try the app.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I can think bottom line is that like so one thing it's not illegal to write about illegal things. Like you can always write about it,
yes.
but we have drawn the line where if it's, I think kind of, I think there are exceptions, but if it's illegal to do, it's not okay to write about it in Pirr.
Like we prefer to have harder guardrails than not.
Yeah. So
Then a loser, like if I'm like in an ethical dilemma, like should I allow this or not?
Okay, you take a safer rather than sorry.
Exactly.
So to speak. Okay.
And we believe that for women that's also very important, because it's one thing that maybe you cannot write a certain thing that maybe you want to push towards, but rather you don't want as a woman content that would not be comfortable for
it can be so off-putting to get that. So
Exactly.
just
I mean, some concepts are super, difficult, like suicide or something. If you get into this kind of really, if you have a person or a user that is sad because they lost their husband or whatnot, and then it could push people in certain directions. And we know OpenAI got sued for actually having a person speaking to ChatGPT, and then they committed suicide. I mean, horribly bad, of course. So it is difficult topics, right?
and it's so many nuances as well in especially in you're writing fiction, right? So and it's so much about how you write about it. I mean, you can write about a murder as a murder mystery, or it's something that happened and it's sad, and you try to solve this murder, or you write it and it's gory and it's it's you kind of it's nuances, and you need to determine like, okay, is this how the user writing about it, is that okay or is it not okay? It could be the same topic, the same words almost.
Exactly.
So that's the difficulty, and that's why we decided to train specific models for that.
So it's LLM as a judge in some way that
yes,
having.
And but we read a lot ourselves as well. So every story that is published, we read.
Yeah, we didn't. Exactly.
Okay.
We have human filter as well.
Okay, I mean that's okay. Human.
And our users can
judge as well.
Yeah, and our users can also report stories that they don't. They can like stories, but can also report. So we have several layers of filters. I mean, we will always be developing this over time. But again, it's been super important for us from day one.
I mean, some people are saying sometimes that AI could never understand morals, or AI could never understand, the ethical dilemmas of what's right or wrong in some way. But what do you think about that? Can AI do that, or what's your thinking?
I guess we need to define understanding here, because I mean, can an AI model understand really? Yeah. I mean, for me at least, that would be like a fundamental definition for like what are we talking about when we say understanding? Because it's still repeating patterns that it has seen before.
What do you think? Can AI understand?
Not today. No.
Okay.
It can, I guess, interpret and
okay.
And in that sense, it can seem like it's understanding.
Yeah.
But no, I wouldn't say that it can. Understand.
Sometimes I think like, does it matter? Because
probably not.
But like we were talking about like what will the future of AI be with like AGI, like what's the next big thing? And Rebecca mentioned like it's going to be physical AI, like the robots and etc. And we were talking, do you want the physical AI that can understand your feelings or not?
And I said like no,
and I said
why not?
yes. And one of my favorite examples that I think about come back to quite often is that quite a while back, I don't know if it was 30 or 40 years ago, there was this AI experiment, I'm sure you know about it, where you had like a kind of AI that was acting like a shrink.
Eliza?
Yeah, maybe it was, where he was just repeating.
Yeah, it's Eliza.
Yeah, I just love that. And people just loved it because he just repeats whatever that person says.
Psychology, it's called, I think. But yeah, okay, cool.
So for me, that's that's good enough, actually. If the consumer or the counterparty feels understood,
Yeah.
If it looks like a duck,
That's
if it
interesting.
quacks like a duck,
Yeah.
you know.
yeah, it
could
can be
a
good.
duck.
Good enough.
What about you? Would you like if you talk about robotics, like do you want to have, like if you have help in like a housekeeper or something helping you out at home, would you like that robot to understand and your feelings?
I would, I think.
Yeah.
Yes. I have a hard time to seeing what's the bad side would be. Why wouldn't you like that?
I didn't want to humanize it because it's like it could feel wrong to ask it to I don't know, do my services that I could do myself, like that's my immediate feeling. But then I quite quickly turned around when we were talking about this earlier, but I would love it if it was like, oh, I see that you're sad, would you like a cup of tea, and like take care of it. Then I would absolutely love that.
It's your love language.
Exactly.
The robot.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we are so, as humans, it's so easy to humanize, technology, even like a toaster or your car, sometimes the car is feeling sad. It's such a cold winter night, right? You humanize it, even though you know it's not a human, but you still connect feelings to it in some way. And I guess, isn't that in some way you can just view feelings as a way to just, understand what some complicated system works like, even though it doesn't have feelings in the same way.
I mean, another example that I like is like how upset a lot of OpenAI's users were when they took away the very friendly, chatty version. Was it when GPT-3 was replaced, right? Or maybe...
No, I think it was later.
Exactly. Yeah. No, sorry, it was later. But like a lot of people just became upset because they didn't get this personal touch.
Yeah.
And it matters for people a lot, and actually, but it doesn't matter that it's not a human that understands you. It's enough, and also physical AI or robots, they can help. Like we always talk about, like it can make you lonely, and I agree. Like I think there's a divide in there's going to be many different good ways and bad ways. But another nice example is when you use robots in elderly healthcare or elderly homes.
Exactly, I was getting to that. That's a great point. I mean, in Japan, for example, they're very much into robotics for elderly care, etc. And if you just take an example, you have a roboted dog, for example. You could easily see that the dog, a proper dog, so to speak, could be a great companion for someone that's lonely, and they can have some kind of relationship with that. And would it be okay to have a robotic dog? Right? If it would create some kind of, less loneliness, would that be okay? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that would be okay. I think that there's a lot of benefits to that, just thinking about like animal welfare. But I have a personal hard time to see that I would go, like I would feel that connection to a robotic dog. But if someone would do that, I wouldn't stop them. I wouldn't say that that's wrong. Of course you can do that if it comforts you and makes you feel better, because I would totally understand that a real dog would do that. I mean, I have horses, of course they make me feel good, and I'm happy with when I'm with them and everything. So if you can get that from a robot, why not?
Because in some way, Pirr is giving like a robotic kind of companion that you can speak with, right? You could have the same kind of collaboration or communication with a human, where you interact with different ways to have the story, but now you can do that through machine in some sense, right?
Well, there's actually one big difference is there's a lot of AI chatbots, which we are not, like AI chatbots as in AI girlfriends or AI boyfriends and AI companions. That's a big market, and there's a lot of players in there, but that is less, I would say, healthy than creating a story.
Right. Okay, that's a good point.
Yeah, and consuming romance is actually, there's a lot of research done on not only reading, because reading is in general good for your health, but also romance is very good, is a good way to relax, to escape, and it has positive health benefits. And I think it's amazing to create a service that is actually good for you. And for chatbots or AI girlfriends, boyfriends, like that can become more lonely.
Because I guess you could easily do a pivot in Pirr where it goes to the girlfriend boyfriend kind of case, but you wouldn't do that, or
No.
I mean, what is important is characters. So you want to have you want to give the users the opportunity to create rich characters and remember what those characters go through. And in one way, it can be a bit of a relationship with a character, of course. Like you can fall in love with a character. You can fall in love with a character in a movie or in a book.
Yes. We do a lot, right?
Yeah, exactly, over and over again. But it's still, there's a difference when there's a story, and that's more about escapism and also creating, like you can create for yourself, but you can also create for others. So that's a social experience. And storytelling, that is a social, that's one of the most basic human needs, like consuming stories, listening to other people, creating stories, and creating yourself. So that's what we're doing.
That makes sense.
It's time for AI News, brought to you by AIAW Podcast.
So we usually have this kind of small break in the middle of the podcast to just share some ideas about recent AI news, and then we get back to the podcast with Rebecca and Beatrice. But to start with that, do you have any AI news that you heard about recently that you'd like to share?
Yeah, Pirr.
Of course.
But on AI news, I think what's extremely interesting is the boom that is happening in Stockholm.
Right.
So many investors are coming here from the US. It's really fascinating. And of course, it's amazing for us and the ecosystem.
And that is interesting, right? I mean, it is one of the top, please disagree if you don't like, but one of the top European, at least, AI hubs that we have in Europe, right? Would you agree?
Definitely. Of
London,
course.
of course, is big, and Paris is big, but still, you know.
No, it's happening for sure. And we see, like, Y Combinator was here for a month ago to recruit Swedish startups to their program. Like, I'm a person, I want to keep a lot of stuff European if that allows. But they were looking for Swedish startups, and people were flying in from, I was meeting people at the event from Finland, from Spain, like they were all over the place coming to Stockholm. And so it's really exploding right now.
What do you think that is? What is making the Silicon Valhalla explode?
Is it the support system that many people know each other and can get that, the support from
A strong community in some
yeah,
sense?
community, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of events happening, and like when I think Swedes are amazing, like we have an amazing way of growing up, that we are allowed to be creative, we're allowed to be entrepreneurs, and Swedes are, as you know, being at Spotify, we're extremely good at smooth, sleek user design experiences. And when you have that combined with AI, I think it's like the perfect spot for things to happen.
And maybe the like we have safety nets in Sweden. You can take that risk of leaving your day job, and going after your dream. Like it's actually possible, and you're not necessarily going to end up on the streets because of that. But you have that opportunity. Yeah,
we have a strong safety net for sure. Yeah, and strong universities and great education and people coming out there, and rather good capital given what you just said, right?
Yeah, it's happening. It's happening right now. So 90% of all AI deals have been done in the US, but definitely capital is moving here. Yeah. And we also see that, of course, it's going to be trickling down in the system because you have Swedish AI founders, they're making exits, and they will be able to invest, etc. So I definitely believe in the strength of the Swedish system.
We have one of the biggest, I think, number of unicorns per capita in Sweden. So it's something we're doing right. It's
impressive.
Sure. Yeah. Cool. Another big event besides the big, we already spoke about the IPO tomorrow, SpaceX doing that. And then we have Anthropic do another IPO soon, and then OpenAI is going to do that. That's going to be super, exciting to watch and see what happens there. And you with a background in finance as well, it's great to hear your thoughts there as well. So that's going to be a big thing. Perhaps one other thing is, they released Fable 5 or the Mythos 5, and it would be fun to hear what you're thinking here, if that's something that you would like to use or not going forward. But just to give some background here, we had a big myth about Mythos, or Anthropic released or created this model called Mythos that wasn't released before. So they had a preview version of that was very, very powerful, but too powerful potentially to release. So because of cybersecurity reasons, they didn't release it, and then they had a Glasswing project where they let some of the biggest software companies use it internally first to patch the security vulnerabilities before actually releasing it. But now they are releasing it. And they are having like two versions. One is the more original Mythos, which is the, not so many guardrails in, but that one is not being publicly released. And then they have the other one now released called Fable 5, which is heavily guardrailed. And that one is now getting released, so we can start to use it. And I guess it would be also for Pirr to start using it as well, but also super expensive. So it's going to be doubly expensive than what Opus is, the previous most expensive and biggest model. So this one is twice as expensive, probably many trillions of parameters, if not like 5 to 10 trillion parameters. Or I actually have my own theory here saying it may not be simply the number of parameters that is big in Mythos. I think it could potentially be that they have these kind of internal loops, meaning they actually do not do a single forward pass, but they actually stop in the middle of the layer and do like 16 rows in the middle in the semantic space. So there was this open Mythos repo that someone tried to reverse engineer what Mythos did, and they came to the conclusion it must be doing this kind of latent space reasoning thing. And that, of course, would also be more expensive because it spends a lot more time for each token, meaning that could be the reason it's double expensive. Anyway, I'm just guessing here, but I think it could be that. But impressive anyway that, Anthropic has been doing so well. They have been leading for a long time when it comes to most performant coding AI tool, and most performant also in terms of agentic workflows, which they're releasing. So they're doing something right in Anthropic. And they also surpassed OpenAI in having a bigger revenue, while still just being like a few years old. It's super fast growing here. So impressive in many ways, but also kind of scary that AI models get so powerful. They have to have so much guardrails that they have to wait before they release it. So what do you think about this? Is this the future we will continue to see, that AI models gets too powerful? So we need to have so much security to prevent cybersecurity, or people creating biological warfare, weapons with it or whatnot?
I mean, if I start, we're the guardrail girls.
That would be a t-shirt. Guardrail girls. That would be great.
And we're also European, so
right.
like I believe in a certain path of regulation, a certain part of guardrails, and like it's comparing OpenAI together with Anthropic. I find it great that Anthropic is pushing the guardrails as well, and that's the European thing, the European culture. So I think it's great that they're doing that. And regarding, like you were talking about the revenues and the ARR of Anthropic versus OpenAI, and as a startup, like investors always want to see some type of exponential growth. Like if you have linear growth, then you are boring, and they just want you to do exponential. But Anthropic actually very recently had linear growth up until they released Claude Code, and that's when things really took off. So like considering the size, it took them quite a while to get to that crazy inflection point. And we were checking the benchmarks earlier today of of the new model, and I think it was around like 10 to 20 percentage points better in terms of coding. I mean, we'll have to test it on complex builds, but it's exciting for sure.
Yeah, so I recently read a report from Anthropic as well on how they have optimized their development with AI, and you could see just the difference when they went from, I think it was Opus 4.6 and then to the Mythos preview that they had internally at Anthropic, and just the incredible, like, 4 open-ended problems and like big complex problems. That was like just huge difference with the model with Mythos, and that's going to be interesting to see now how, because I think that there are problems that don't need that power, of course. Like it's probably going to be people who are, you know, using it for things that it's just not necessary. And of course, it's also interesting with making it available for everyone. Like it's not with those prices. Of course, it's not going to be available to everyone. I think Anthropic did exactly the right thing in not releasing it right away. I think it was very responsible, because just imagine, their growth they could have gained if they released right away.
So much money if they just release everything. Right?
Yes. So I think that was, you know, I was very glad reading that. No, it was a couple of months ago. So it's interesting to see how, are these guardrails going to be a problem or not? And I would love to hear more, and maybe some expert in what those guardrails are and what it could mean for, democratizing or the democracies in like, is it hindering anything for us? Like, how is it censoring, or what's the risks to society?
Like, what are we removing with the guardrails? You mean?
Exactly. Or is it like, is it only good? I'm guessing there, and I think it's going to be also a while, just as any very powerful tool or weapon. There's going to be a while before we know what it can do and feel secure in that, and have kind of built the infrastructure around it. I'm just thinking, you know, with the internet, I mean, of course there were, you know, major security vulnerabilities everywhere, because it was just so, you know, a sudden change, and you didn't really know and what was, you know, the what was dangerous and what was not. And I think we're there now as well. Like we need to just figure this out as we go.
What do you think?
It's so many interesting topics here. One is, you know, should we continue to do open source or not? Open weight models, for example. What's the consequence of that? When it comes to Mythos and Fable, I mean, it's nice to see this kind of split now, in one with little guardrails and one with a lot of guardrails. Will this be a trend now? So everyone is starting to do this kind of split, where they have a limited release of something that has less guardrails. I think that will happen. And I think also, you know, even Trump have said, you know, they want to have a 30-day review period of any kind of big model, so to see if it's safe or not, for example, or could be for other purposes, but I'm not going there. And given how powerful AI becomes, the risk of abuse will of course just increase more and more and more. So it seems to be a trend going towards, you know, we cannot open source too much without having proper guardrails. If you do open source, it's so easy to remove the guardrails. So what will that mean, right? So then it means that the super powerful models probably will have a super hard time to be open sourced. Even if it's not open sourced, it still will be separate releases here, with one that is, you know, more safe, but then very restricted, even saying, as soon as you prompt it or ask anything about biological weapons, it will just not reply. But there could be very good use cases for, I want to find a vaccine for the coronavirus, but then it's just going to say, sorry, I can't do that. It's like the HAL 9000 here. It's sorry, Dave, I can't do that. But that may be the price that we have to pay, because anything that is going to be publicly released rather be safe than sorry.
Yeah.
Similar to what you're saying yourself, right? You'd rather be safe than sorry.
Yeah.
For the way that you're building the service.
And give that försprång in Swedish. Give the
head start.
Head start, yeah. Give a head start to the good guys to setting up the security that's necessary for when this, like Anthropic did, like, okay, let's fix all these bugs first, and then we can release it.
But also Hal went rogue, right? So
He did. It didn't go well there. No, and I think that's so important then that we can go into more philosophical topics in the end, but this is, I think, a great topic to talk more about, and we're going to get much more philosophical in the end here. So let's go there soon. Anything you would like to add, Goran, or should you know? Yeah. No, Mike. Good.
Android, a new unicorn in Stockholm.
It is? Oh.
Yeah, they went IPO yesterday.
So Einride, I'm just repeating what you're saying here so people can hear it. So, okay, Einride went IPO and they went unicorn now. Yeah. That's amazing.
but it was a SPAC, was it not? Or was it okay.
Amazing. But let's get back to Pirr and speak more about that. And if we just speak about, it is a female-focused, audience or consumers that you do have. And for one, we can speak about the entertainment business as such and book reading or storytelling in general. And then how does that relate to what we're seeing in Hollywood or with the movies, etc.? Because, can you just elaborate? What are you seeing in terms of what the trends are moving towards?
I mean, in Hollywood content creation, I mean, they are embracing AI. So you see some AI companies, some big AI companies, they are taking advisors, like the biggest directors are becoming advisors, and like the most influential people are actually leaning into AI. But I was speaking to an American VC yesterday that is within the entertainment that was telling me like, yeah, they are, but still old school, to speak. But
they're trying to fight to keep the old stuff, right?
Otherwise I don't know what's going to happen with like they want to fight it, but they're also trying to lean in, but it's also becomes like asymmetric in a way, like how much are you leaning in what way? Like I was having lunch today with a big gaming entrepreneur here in Sweden, and they were looking at like what is happening in the gaming sector. And like he sees that a lot of investors are looking for like a one size fits all, or like a tool that can do everything for them. And he has a big gaming studio with a lot of developers, so they do very intricate video games. But he wanted to have like, we want this tool to do this thing in particular in our game, and etc. So I think the market is still extremely young in entertainment, as in like getting eyeballs or like competing with Netflixes. You have the vertical dramas, which are becoming extremely popular.
So vertical dramas, what is that?
That is like TikTok style. Either it's like with human actors, but now it's becoming more and more AI generated. It's very popular in China. The latest trend was like having cats fighting each other. It was dramas, but they were in clothes, and it's a specific, like very niche in a way, but it's a huge niche. And what they've been able to prove is that they can definitely monetize that type of content. And you pay like per episode, and every episode is a couple of minutes. So it's very TikTok style type of entertainment.
Right.
And Netflix is following this. They are remodeling their mobile app, so it's going to become much more vertical entertainment, like much more leaning towards into this. But it still has not really, it's taken some market in the US or in the Western world, but not as much as in the East. So there's a lot of different things going on, but it's still fairly early.
But couldn't you say that Pirr is taking the book industry in some way and transforming that a bit to be more of an interactive book, right?
100%, yeah.
And wouldn't you think, could Pirr be moving to interactive movies at some point?
I like, this is a great question. So yes and no. So how we see it is how Pirr can, this is your pitch usually, Beatrice, but you can jump in, is that we can become an IP engine for the future movies and future series.
So like building the scripts for.
Yeah, because what we see now, which is huge. I don't know if you've heard about Heated Rivalry or Off Campus. No? It's these big like romance books and series that have become a series on Prime Video. I think Amazon has been very quickly picking this up. You have in Netflix, you have Bridgerton, and you also have one of the absolutely biggest fantasy series, Romantasy series right now that's about to, do casting. So they are in, production already or soon. And the Empyrean series by Rebecca Oskarsson. But that is what we see, like the books moving into Hollywood. So how, and that's where we see that it is a lot of potential for monetizing for our creators. Like we can take you there. Like we can be that passage into selling royalties and selling the copyrights.
But given how AI, the latest like Gemini, Omni, etc., it can do video generation surprisingly well, and it can very quickly, or not super quickly, but in minutes at least, generate a really nice video, and then you could potentially tweak, the story going forward. Wouldn't that be an interesting path to take, or what do you think?
I mean, we're always like, as a startup, we want to be hyper focused on what we're doing today, and that is storytelling in words. I mean, we've been experimenting with sounds. We have an audio shelf that we know a lot of our users love. Over time, there could be a possibility to move into video as well. But first, like our first most important task is just to nail storytelling. We want to give you the best story. And also, like, I think about as an ex-investor and knowing what the investors want, what we want is retention, and there we can do a lot with personalization. So the things that we see that you do, or like the data that you give us, we can personalize your experience, and we can remember your story, like the characters, the worlds that you create. I think that there's a much, much deeper defensibility in that, either if it's video or not, but like just knowing all of these things versus vertical dramas that you just scroll, and the input that you give is like, okay, you continue watching this series, but that's it. Like the data is much shallower, and we're on the deep end, learning what you want and super serving that.
That makes sense.
And just on the book market, it's the publishing market. I would say they've done innovations, but the big innovation was the printing press like 500 years ago. And since then, it's still very much passive consumption. So if 51% of all American wants to write a book, but actually basically no one does. And if you write it, like the percentage of creators that get published, it's almost zero.
But can you be an author in some other way than in the future? Or what is... Okay, let me just put another crazy idea in your head here. It's actually partly from Spotify as well. And you can see Spotify as for one a platform for consumers, but you can also see it for creators. And in your case, you are having users that are creators in some sense, right? And then if you would like to support them to not only do it for fun, but potentially even create a business around that, could that be a future that you could go into, to say that you become a platform for them to not be the kind of traditional static book, but they actually are the best like interactive platform that people want to subscribe to in some way? Does it make sense, or this? Yeah.
And like today we're hyper focused on the creators, but that is the path to creating the marketplace for them. So that's the next step.
So you're thinking about the marketplace? Or?
Definitely we are. And we have investors that are very good in marketplace as well. So I'm very excited about like that opportunity for us to build and create. And The thing is, if you are an author today and you publish, you actually managed to write a story. I mean, that's a huge hurdle in itself. But okay, you managed. Then you want to publish it. You go to a book publisher first, and if you manage, they plus the retail store will take up to 70%. Like you can have maximum 30% of that. If you publish it by yourself on Amazon, like you go on Kindle Direct Publishing, at best you can keep 70%, but that's the maximum. So what we want to build is to have a platform where the creators can keep much more of their contents. And we believe that also gives us the possibility to scale the platform quickly.
I think so. I mean, and also it's a bit sad about the normal authors in some sense, because, why would you buy a static book that is, 2 years old potentially and that is not interactive?
Exactly. And also all the people out there that has the potential to write but haven't gotten there. Maybe it's just life got in the way.
Yeah.
And those people we are able to serve thanks to generative AI, helping to get over the hump. And that's also something that we see, that we're not and never have like aimed for the professional authors, because they are already supported by the industry. Like we're talking about all those people who are not in the industry and can get there so easily with a little help.
I mean, amazing. I mean, I think, as we are moving towards, AI being able to do so many things, we still want to enable humans to find new ways to change perhaps job roles into the future type of job roles. And in doing this and more directing what the agents are doing, I guess in the future, Pirr could be like an agent marketplace where you design what the agent should do, and then people can subscribe to it. It seems like an attractive future in some sense. Right?
Yeah, and we want to put the creator in the focus. So whatever can help people to create, and also to connect, like as in Spotify, you want to connect the right creators with the right consumers.
Yes. Okay.
And that is also a very important future step for us, because there's a lot of content being created. I would say a lot of it is AI slop, but there's also qualitative content being created. So a lot of people think that everything is AI slop, but if you look at the publishing industry, also established authors are actually producing much more content today than they did pre-ChatGPT.
Yes.
So, and 80% of writers, they use AI, and but there will be a huge amount of content out there. We believe that creators will become even more important. That's super important to differentiate, between different types of content, but also like in our world where it's so important to get exactly what you want to be able to be matched to the correct story, like the right story that you would love, or that we know that you're going to love, and also the creators that you would love to follow. Like 50% of all Reddit searches in the romance channels are about, I want to find this specific book that it's going to be about a redhead and a hockey player, but they become vampires and then they break up, and it's very, very, very specific. And again, we're here to super serve them.
Interesting. But thinking a bit longer ahead about Pirr here, and Pirr, of course, in the name is connected to romance in some sense, but still, what can you see the future could hold? I mean, marketplace, of course, is one. Could be expanding into other areas than romance potentially. I mean, it could be
that has been part of the plan as well for quite some time. That romance is one part of fiction, and it is the biggest fiction genre in the Western world, and being able to expand into other fiction genres is absolutely an opportunity. Not yet, but for sure. Yeah.
Just fiction. I mean, just doing, let's say, an AI podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were to listen into an AI podcast and you wanted to steer it in some direction and having some kind of interactive generation, couldn't that also?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah.
From our predecessors that are storytelling platforms, but that are not, they have nothing to do with AI. 60% of their content is romance, because that is the biggest genre, and the rest is sci-fi. Can be thrillers, it can be fan fiction. Fan fiction is also very close to romance as well. There's a lot of romance living in fan fiction and vice versa. And fantasy, of course. So there are really adjacent topics that go together, and we are learning like step by step, bit by bit. So definitely excited to expand that over time.
Awesome. But if we just go back to the question about AI, does it really understand or not, for example, as we spoke about? And then thinking, in your area with romance, it's really a lot about feelings all the time. Still, AI is able to tell a story, at least, that is connected to feelings, and surprisingly well. What's your thinking here as agents or AI gets increasingly good? Is that a bad thing or not? What do you think about AI getting potentially the one that actually creates the stories, the feelings, the experience that humans then start to consume? Sorry for the fluffy question, but I hope you get a bit what I'm meaning. Could it be a problem that AI is the one driving the entertainment business here?
I haven't thought about it. I don't have a clear
It depends on like how far maybe you go, because we see it still as a tool, a very, very advanced tool. But we still see it as a way to express something else, or like something new, or to extract something that you have inside of you, and to empower a person. So that's all like positive feelings. And we were discussing today, like what do we think that AI is going to be able to create super like very good stories? I mean, on its own, I think yes. I mean, Rebecca, you agree as well, right?
Of course. I think it's going that way, and I think for me the difficulty in the question was how can it hurt? Yeah. Can that be hurtful for the yes, for the industry, I guess, because I mean it's the classic, people lose their jobs, but of course there's going to be other types of jobs, and we're still going to be, as long as we are the consumers, we are still controlling what's being written, even if it's AI that's writing it.
But if AI gets much better than humans ever could in writing a good romantic story, is that a problem or not? Or is that just positive in the future?
I mean, we have a two-side, like you can create for yourself, or you can experience a story that is interactive. That is one way of the consumption today for our users. And the other side is like when you create and you have this ambition to share your story. We want both sides to be able to exist. Personally, I truly believe that like the fandom, the creator behind it, and like I think it's very, very important that's a part of the IP itself. So I think we'll be able to have both sides, like we'll be able to have both parallel lanes. But I mean, a lot of fantastic things will be created with AI, and also like there will be a bit of shakedown as well. So,
but if I do an analogy to coding, for example, I think this is interesting here. A lot of people, or I heard a smart person saying something like this, and that is that we know AI is working really well for programming, yes, but that mainly means that AI is really good in writing the code. It doesn't really mean that AI knows what to do. It knows how to do it. So given that you have a human that tells the AI what to do, you can do amazing things. But if you don't have the human telling it what to do, it will do potentially crazy things. So in some sense, it seems like humans are having skills at some level that is different from what AI can do. So AI is more executing on what the instructions to it is doing, rather than being the true innovator or true creator in some sense. Will that apply for romantic storytelling as well? that AI, the human still is necessary to be there to tell you should go in this direction, but doesn't necessarily have to write the exact like wording for it.
Absolutely. I mean, that's kind of what I meant as well with it's the still consumers that's gonna, control it. So if you look at it a broader perspective, then I mean that's happening already. Like authors love usually their community, their readers. They want to talk to their readers, even if maybe they've already released their book series or whatever. But they're still taking influence from what's like what do people want to read. Yeah. So yes, that would be the same, even if the AI is the writer, the full writer in this, and. We believe that, as Beatrice said, like it's important with the human in the loop here to control the story because they're still saying like where to take it, right? Yeah. And something that I want to pick up on that Beatrice was talking about is the feeling of if it's accomplishment or the being able to produce something as a human, like we're knitting our sweater, like we can knit something, a sweater or a scarf. You can still go out and buy a scarf or you can buy a sweater, and I'm still maybe knitting it, because I like that process. Or I'm doing a crossword puzzle. Like the crossword puzzle doesn't have a result or an output. I don't or an outcome, and still I do it.
It's like riding a horse. You still do it. You don't need it for transport, really, right?
Kind of. And I would say that there is, things to, when I was coming here, you can compete and you can, but like we have so many, like many users in the app today choose not to publish their story. Like they're not after the likes, they're not after the audience. They just love the process. So I still think that, even I understand that wasn't really your question, but like even if we would go into a world where AI is creating and writing, the full story is still going to be a human need with that storytelling process. Like, I mean, we have done that from, the campfires where we are, telling people about our day or telling something that happened. Like there's something that we have that need to tell the story or write it down or whatever it might be.
So you mean? Sorry.
No, I was thinking about like just AI and what does it make us? Like how does it enhance us? And ChatGPT has 900+ million monthly active users, and it's 900. So let's say it's 1 billion. It's like very soon it's going to be 1 billion people, and let's say that 1% are extremely good at prompting. Like it would be Rebecca who would be extremely good at prompting, and a lot of people in Silicon Valley and here in Silicon Valhalla, but 99% like do average prompting. But that means that all of those 99% that use AI, they're still gonna have like the average output because the AI is gonna enhance you equally well.
Yeah.
So yes, we become better in like, me personally, I can do 20 extra things through AI, but you always need to be better than the average.
Right.
And that's going to remain.
So you as a human still always have an edge if you just know how to use AI properly in some sense.
I think any tool, right? Like if we were thinking about when coming back to the horses, some type of innovation when it came, and then people started using that, and some are better than everyone is using cars, but some are just better at using it or driving better or competing in something better. So like we always want to be better than the average, and that's the way it's always been.
Yeah. So you get good at different things in some way, and that will continue to happen even with AI becoming increasingly intelligent in some ways. Yeah. But what if it does increase even more? What if, not only AI can write the lyrics or the story, what if it actually is better than humans in saying what should happen next? Will humans still want to drive the story, or will it simply be to push the auto play button, so to speak? And
I think we're already there. Like and like because it's so subjective. Like if I'm creating a story in Pirr, because I'm not a professional writer, I can be happy with what the AI is outputting.
Yeah.
But if I am a professional writer and I have explored this profession for years, I have an expertise, then I'm gonna notice the nuances. I'm gonna notice that this doesn't really gonna fit well, and I'm gonna be very picky. So I think that in a way that many people are already there. Like you can just click, and it's going to be way better than if you wrote it yourself.
But okay, I didn't mean like that. If you take it compared to music, for example, a vision that Spotify had at one point was that the whole like app interface would simply be a play button. There is nothing else you can do. You just press play or not, and then it will always know exactly what type of music you will like to listen to. There is no need to select artist or genre or nothing. That's obviously not the case today, but it could be a vision in the future. And if you think that for storytelling, and I still think there is a need for a lot of people to have control. I think there is still a need that people would like to say, no, I do want it to go this direction. I don't care really if AI believes this is the best way. I think the need for control in some way will still want or create the necessity of having the ability to choose direction, if you see what I mean. Would you agree with that? Or do you think the vision should be an autoplay button and just, let the story unfold? We
have played around with that idea. It was some time ago now, before I think we realized how important control is. Yeah. Like even if you it's enough that you think that you're choosing.
Yeah.
I mean,
right. Yeah, that's a good point.
It's like with Netflix. We all have different feeds in Netflix, but at least I get to choose kind of.
Yeah.
So I think that maybe there's just
it's an illusion of control.
Could be that's enough. I think that's interesting. We talked about that. Like there's you can say there's kind of two different readers. When it comes to any book basically, where some people are just in it for the ride. You don't really like you read quite quickly and you don't matter if you remember something, but then you have the other person who is maybe reading the same page 5 times because they know that there might be a clue in here about what's going to happen later, and they know that this particular author, she's really really good at putting in these clues, and I really want to know it all. And maybe they, if it's a fantasy book, they read up on the world behind it and all the characters and all the creatures in this book, and they want to know everything. So I think that that's also different in Pirr as well. Some people are very, very detail oriented, and it has to be really, perfect. And then you have the people who are just, in it for the ride and just, click away.
I mean, I just love entertainment in so many ways. So this is my favorite topic. Coming back to being obsessed about the creators, like how important that is. Right. One example is Stranger Things, right? It became huge success on
the movie. I'm not into it's
series.
Series. Yeah, it's
sci-fi.
Sci-fi, exactly. It's Spielberg meeting. Yeah, it's immense success on Netflix. It's the Duffer Brothers that created it, and in the last season, which was aired, the last episode was aired, I think it was on New Year's Eve, a couple of months ago, and after that Netflix released an episode which was about the making of, and people were very upset about the ending. I mean, there's been huge fandom around this series. It's been going on for 10 plus years.
It's a little bit open-ended ending.
Yeah, it was ambiguous. Yeah. And then like the making of came out, and it was about like the last season and how much more budget they had, like how much more amazing things they could do in this season. Like the amount of recording days was so many times, like they had so many more recording days than they had in the first season. So this was like huge budget. And still people got extremely upset. Like the fans became extremely upset. And why? It's because the creators had not figured out the ending when they started the last season. Right. So like what the creators want and what their vision is, and all of the details that Rebecca is mentioning. It's extremely important, like, and especially when you create fandoms, when you create these worlds, and it's like it's very important for us humans. We want to find meaning. Like, there's no meaning like that. You didn't have an ending. It's not enough.
It's not acceptable.
Because you have those fans that want to go back to the first season and understand why it ended the way it did. And when they get it, you know, like, okay, I can't even do that because the creators didn't do it. Then, you know, exactly, it's like the whole world falls apart.
There's no point.
No.
But we're still big fans, though.
And it was actually something that I read today about, you know, from an author, how important it is to know the ending of your book. Like
some consumers, like some readers, they just read the end of the last pages. They want to know. That's how romance readers sometimes consume. And we have extremely long session times. So when you look at creators, they spend huge amount of time in the app.
What was like average?
The average on an active day is 1.5 hours.
Really?
For women. Yeah, they create even longer. Like men are around 1 hour, women are around 1.5. And our subscribers, they spend 3.5 hours on an active day. So it's a lot of time.
Amazing.
And what about you? What type of reader are you, or consumer? Are you in it for the ride, or are you very, you know, want to know everything?
I get very frustrated if I don't understand anything. So yes, I am very much into nagging in trying to understand why stuff happens. So that would be annoying to me as well if it ends a certain way. It's like Sons of Anarchy, when that stopped in a very bad way. I was very upset, I can tell you. Yeah, so I wish we could have Pirr that simply were able to direct it into a different ending. That would be
that's one of the fun ideas we had at the start. The choose your own ending, or like you could have classics and just, you know, write your own ending to them.
Where will Pirr be in 10 years?
Global, all languages. We talked about maybe other media. Let's see if we go let's see if we go to video, but audio for sure. And we want to replace one of the big publishing houses.
Replace publishing house. Okay. So
we go from the traditional book to the interactive book, and we empower the creators, and we allow them to monetize much better than was previously possible.
Could you see an exit in being acquired by publishing house, or
that could be possible. The other way around can also happen.
That you acquire them.
Like Storytel, they bought Nordstedts.
Yeah.
So that's a classic example. I mean, I'm from the public equity markets. That's how I was investing before. So I always had some sort of dream of a public company. And there are public companies like similar to us.
Public as in doing an IPO?
Exactly. But on the other hand, like we're also like 90% of all startups become acquired. So like it could be publishing houses, it could be gaming companies, it could be entertainment studios. There's a lot of different exit opportunities that we see.
Yeah, I can imagine. I think it's so many more things than... I mean, of course, Pirr is connected to romance, but I could see the core idea being applied to so many different things here as well. Amazing.
Yeah, we want to see your stories, so share your username.
I could do that. Not publicly here, but perhaps later. But what do you think about AGI then? And do you have any thoughts if AGI will happen? If we use a definition of AGI like Sam Altman did, which is when AI becomes as good as an average coworker, meaning you could literally replace a person and it would do it really well. And today I think it's very far from, to be frank. I mean, there are so many things that the human can do that AI is still really bad at, but there could be a point. And do you think that will happen, or what's your thinking here about AGI?
Yeah, with that definition, I think it's very close. It depends on which role we're talking about and what you expect from that colleague. Like, do you want to grab a coffee with it? Then, maybe. But
if you start with an author, for example, or like a book author, and I think today, with Pirr, I think it has the nice balance of both having human directing AI and then using AI together with humans in a really good way and having human in the loop. But there could be a point then when humans are not necessarily necessary, right? So that could be one type of AGI in terms of just the role of an author. But then it could be for anything else, a software engineer or for a finance person or whatnot. And just assuming that do you think that will happen? Do you think AI will continue to just increase? So basically, at some point, it will be able to do any kind of job as well as a human, or do you think there will be some limit?
I probably think that it could do a lot of things. I mean, a lot of things is as good as a human if you look at an isolated task. But I also think that a lot of new industries are going to appear. So I'm optimistic in that sense. And if you're an AI evangelist, then you believe that it's going to create growth the same way that previous industrial revolutions have done.
Yes.
And I mean, maybe we'll all be in space quite soon and exploring completely different things that we're doing today. But of course, it will be a lot of we'll go through a lot of difficult challenges for sure. But staying optimistic that it will unlock a lot of opportunities.
I get the question a lot about, what happens with software engineers as AI is really excelling at software engineering, not perhaps as much in other fields, but still that it's going really faster. And if we just look at the statistics, there's never been, people are still hiring people more and more. Even Anthropic, the leading companies, is hiring a lot of engineers. And we just have some statistics from US Board of Job Statistics or whatever it's called. And it's going up. And people thought it would start to go down, but it's not. And if I just think myself, comparing, I've been programming since I was 7. And if you just take 3 years or 5 years ago, what I could do as a programmer compared to today, of course, I can do so much more today. Does that mean that I work less with programming? No. It simply means that I can do so much more. And it also means that people that couldn't do programming suddenly can. And perhaps in authoring, stories, it meant that people that couldn't perhaps be an author suddenly can with Pirr, right?
Yeah.
So it simply enables people to do more things that they could before.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I just want to add something here that I feel very passionate about, and that is the democratizing of AI, because that's something that I've been talking about since the start of Pirr, how we want it to be so simple, and when we started, it wasn't prompting wasn't even used in the Swedish language at least, and how important it is that everyone, including women who are not generally speaking, not as early adopters as men, how we also learn the technology. And that means that it has to be available for us to learn. Right. And that doesn't just mean, men and women, but it also means parts of the world having access. And, when the API prices go up for models, then we're making them inaccessible for parts of that world, parts of huge amounts of people that still then doesn't have access to this extreme optimization that can happen with AI, and then falling behind and growing the gaps, the social gaps.
It could,
and social economic
isn't that
gaps.
An interesting dilemma here? For one, AI can really be democratizing intelligence and knowledge in a huge way. On the other side, if you think people are token maxing more and more, meaning that it becomes too expensive to use it all the time, that only the richest one can really use it to the full extent and the other ones cannot, creating potentially an even greater gap than it already is.
Exactly.
Unfortunately,
and that is kind of what if you are a domain expert, and it's not a coincidence that the AI models are good at coding. I mean, there are the developers and the engineering team has the one that has created these models. Of course, they're going to be great at that. But the same thing is like if we take the authorship, for example, if we the professional authors will quickly understand how to use AI in a way that is beneficial for the authorship. We need to give that to more people, just as we need to, in other industries, give that to more people, because otherwise, the experts and or the people that has the money, and they will get richer.
It could be polarizing the classes even more.
Yeah. So that's why for us, we have put that emphasis all the time in the product, that it's easy to use. You don't need to write a single word, but you can also add as much as you want. And you don't need to think about the AI behind it if you don't want to.
Yeah, so many interesting topics. But then going to a final question here, and thinking even more philosophically, and assuming that AGI will happen, and perhaps even ASI, meaning artificial superintelligence, meaning a single AI is more intelligent than all humans combined, what would that lead to? And then we can take like two extremes here. And one extreme, of course, is that we will have the world of the Terminators, the Matrix, and the machines trying to kill us all as humans. Would be rather bad. Or it could be the other extreme, that AI is actually helping us solve all the challenges we have in the world, meaning finding a cure for cancer and fighting climate crisis, and perhaps moving towards some kind of world of abundance where the cost of goods and services goes towards zero, and we basically can, we don't have to work unless we want to, etc. Where do you think we will end up? What do you think, as we move closer at least to AGI and ASI, where do you think we could end up? If we start with you.
Yeah, just like a quick one on this would be that, it depends on which hands it lands in. Just like the atomic bomb, like it depends on what we use it for. And that will be crucial. It's not the tech, but it's the people, and that even if it's it's of course extremely difficult to answer, because it's about things that we don't know what we don't know. We have no idea what that superintelligence could actually mean, because it could also save the world, like it can save humanity. That we could, because we do need that help. Like we do need some help.
We have a lot of challenges to fix.
Yeah, exactly. So very maybe boring expected question, but the answer that it depends on who's making the call.
I'm thinking what type of like we're always applying human emotions and human goals, like as in good or bad, or creation or destruction. And that's, of course, we are prompting AI, or like developing AI to have human traits, but AI in itself maybe will not care about staying alive. Right. I'm not sure. I don't think we know that yet. Like it's humans that are all about not getting extinct. Yeah. And like the human race has been, like in the last 50 years, we've been on the brink of extinction. Talking about the atomic bomb, every generation is scared, like, oh, should we have more kids? Like maybe we shouldn't have more kids.
Every generation thinks they're the last.
Yeah.
Coronaviruses and whatnot. So,
Yeah, exactly. So everyone is thinking, should we bring new people to the world? And I really hope so. And hopefully we want to create AI that can bring people together more.
Yeah. I think we will do, and I certainly do as well. But what can we do to try to steer it in that direction then? Very simple question. But it's hard to of course fix. But if we just think about what Anthropic just did, and they at least try to in some way limit the access to power, or limit the access to intelligence. Is that a way, or should the government be more involved? Should we? What should we do?
It's such a complex question, of course, but talking about like the competition between nations, it's so like we're talking about Europe, and Europe being a startup hub, or even Sweden versus the US, and how and China, of course, and how much they are driving how much China is competing. And like we know that everyone has been scraping every single piece of data that exists, like, and all of them have been doing that, except perhaps the Europeans. Like we've been the good people.
And look at us now.
Yeah, we're so far behind. But yeah.
I really hope that we can find like a way where a bit of regulation can help instead of obstruct. So far it's been way too complicated. We know that from all the EU projects, and we've been applying to EU accelerators and so on. It's so complicated to get those type of funds and get through. So I really hope we can find a good balance. A lot of people are vocal here in the Swedish community to drive that type of innovation.
Even the Swedish Prime Minister, saying we need to, reduce the regulation somehow. But let's hope we keep like a certain amount still there. I mean, the idea of regulation, I don't think anyone is against. It's just, so the intention is clear and we need it, but it needs to be done in the right way, right?
I would say also learn. Like we need everyone to, like if I go in the same, direction that I talked about earlier, like about democratizing, and that is also about knowledge and learning how to work with AI. Because if more people can learn that, if more people are aware of the technology and knows it, then we're also better off, I would say. Because then, just like if we want to cure cancer, like the more people who are doing research, the more likely we are to make a breakthrough. And I think that goes both ways. Like if we want to, of course, putting it in the hands of everyone could also mean that it's potentially bad, but it also means so much good for the world. And like regulating could, it needs some certain regulation, but I think also
education.
That's and I think that's also something that governments, at least in our countries in the Western world, need to take a responsibility for, and make sure that we educate our young people and
finding a responsible way to use AI, I think, is something we should be educating everyone about. And I think actually Pirr is a perfect example of actually using human in the loop here to make sure that we use humans together with AI to create an awesome solution in some way. So thanks for doing that. And I wish you the best success going forward with Pirr. And I'm very glad to have had you here. So thank you so much for coming to the AI After Work podcast, Rebecca Oskarsson and Beatrice Bushati. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.